Good afternoon. It's Michael Rummel. It's Saturday, July 30th, 2022. Just continuing to keep a video journal or log of my wife, sharing her pain, her struggles, while she's incarcerated at Carswell Federal Medical Center in Fort Worth, Texas, since November 30th of 2021. Prior to going in, as I discussed before, she had a severe traumatic brain injury that left her partially paralyzed on her right side and left her with what's called functional neurological disorder, which is a brain disorder. She also was battling possible breast cancer. She had a lump removed from one of her breasts, and she was supposed to have follow-ups, a mammogram, to keep up on that, which she's not been able to do since she's been there, and they refused to do those medical procedures for her. Since she's been there in November, she's progressively gotten worse. I guess progressively is an oxymoron. She's circling the drain as she continues to get worse as far as her medical conditions. The things she was able to do prior to going in, she can no longer do. As far as the breast cancer goes, she woke up one day in a pool of blood. She was taken to the hospital because it was from her breast, and had a PET scan done. PET scan showed several areas glowing. Glowing means areas of concern that they need to evaluate further. Those areas were the armpit, the abdomen, the breast, and the neck. So 4 areas of concern were glowing on her PET scan, meaning that possibly that there's cancer spreading through her lymph nodes, and that she needed an MRI to follow up to investigate that. She's not had one. It's July. She had that PET scan in the first week of March of this year. It's July. She's not had a follow-up. And as we know, cancer can be very ugly. It is very ugly and can spread very quickly if not taken care of or treated or addressed with urgency. Those of you that watched my videos before know that she had a stroke on Tuesday, July 19th. She had what the hospital called a TIA, or what's called a mini stroke. It took the guards and nurses over an hour to call for an ambulance on Tuesday night around 6:30 p.m. Texas time. Although she was exhibiting all the classic symptoms of a stroke: drooping in her face on her right side, drooling, slurred speech, muscle tightness and contraction where she couldn't move her body, sharp stabbing pain in her head. However, so when they got her to the hospital, they couldn't give her a clot buster because they didn't have her medical records from the prison. So they were afraid with her traumatic brain injury it could cause even larger brain hemorrhage and causing her to die. So they refused to do that, and they gave her other means to help with the stroke. Fast forward to Friday of that week, she gets sent back to Carswell. However, the hospital recommended that she stay longer for follow-up and observation, and they told them no. They also wanted to evaluate and check in on that breast cancer or the thought of cancer spreading, and the hospital was told that they could only treat what she was sent for, which was the stroke. She was supposed to be sent back to the facility with medicine for blood pressure, which she had not been getting. She received a script from a doctor when she got there for high blood pressure, hypertension, and they're good for a couple months, and then ever so often you need to have them refilled. Well, The doctor that was originally there when she went in retired, and a new doctor came in. This new doctor has not visited her, seen her, discussed anything with her. So they wouldn't refill these blood pressure scripts, even though the dosage that she was getting wasn't really helping her blood pressure. It was so low that they needed to adjust it and give her medicine, not just give it to her, but increase the dosage. They didn't. She asked for it. She filed complaints, please give me my medicine. She didn't get it, and she ended up having that stroke. So they tell her, well, don't worry, hospital, we're gonna make sure she gets her medicine. She needs a wheelchair, she's not ambulatory, she can't do anything. She's pretty much paralyzed all the way up from her right side of her head all the way down. Her droop is getting a lot better. It almost looks somewhat normal, although you could see the swelling in her face. But she still sounds like this, the Daffy Duck almost. And I'm not trying to make fun of anybody that has it. I'm just trying to, those of you that are auditory learners or visual learners, that's what it sounds like. Even when I talk to her still to this day. Her hand is closed almost like a balled fist since the stroke. She has seen a rehab person one day. They tried to open her fist and work it, and Justina said it felt like people were trying to break her fingers, or the bones in her fingers. It hurt so bad she was crying and screaming in pain, to where the therapist actually felt bad that they were trying to help. She needs help to go to the bathroom, to get dressed, to put on shoes, to do her hair, to wash in the shower, help to get out of the wheelchair into her bed, from the bed into the wheelchair. So she's completely non-ambulatory at this point. It's Saturday, the 30th, and she's still yet to see a doctor. No doctors come to visit her. She's been given one Lipitor, maybe more, but I know she's taken a Lipitor, which is a cholesterol medication, has nothing to do with blood pressure or high blood pressure. So that's not her blood pressure medication. Justina called me yesterday, frantic. They were going to move her off the medical floor, away from her medical bed, because they needed a bed for another pregnant woman. And they were going to send her to what's called the high rise. The high rise is like several story, more of a general population type, not necessarily the medical facility itself. Bunk beds and open showers and all that. No handicap bars or anything like that. No INAs, which is basically hired nurses or assistants to help her do the things that she needs help doing. She was literally frightened that she was going to be moved there, that she couldn't get help. She'd end up going to the bathroom on herself. She couldn't get dressed. She'd get in trouble for not being, up when they need her to, or up for count, or things like that, or where she needed to be when she needed to be there, because they wouldn't give her help. So she was very upset. Luckily, there are some good people that work at that facility. The INAs are amazing that work with my wife. Thank you so much for all you do in your position. I know it's not always easy for you as well, being in there, but and still having compassion for people. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Those guards that actually have compassion for them people incarcerated, and treat the good ones. And I'm saying that because there are some that are jerks and buttholes, and probably, I don't want to say anyone deserves the treatment they get, but maybe deserve to not be amongst the general population of our country. But those guards that work with those that are good and still show them compassion and care, I appreciate that as well. So luckily for Justina, that someone spoke up for her, and apparently the doctor everyone had put in notes in her system that she needed to be inpatient, basically even advanced more so than where she's been. However, the doctor's not signed off on any of this or her medication, so things can't get done until a doctor signs off on it. Funny thing is doctor's never seen it. Doctor's never there. I don't get it. I really don't. I have no idea. I don't understand any of this. I pay my taxes. I'd consider myself to be a Dudley Do-Right of some sort. Proud to be an American. Stand for the pledge, the national anthem. Support our troops, our law enforcement officers. Always teach right versus wrong. Stand up for what's right. And I'm like most of you, unless you're one of those people that watch this who are just like me and had your eyes opened to a world that's been hidden from us, the general public. We don't know what we don't know until we're exposed to it. What I've been exposed to and shown, just from my wife's point of view, and these other women that are out and helping my wife, and thank God there are some very helpful people, men and women both, but women especially right now, that are doing almost everything they can to help my wife, who's never met my wife, doesn't know me, never met me in person. We've talked so much, but they don't know me from Adam. And they're helping my wife because they know the atrocities that these women go through and these horrible conditions, and see that my wife is in desperate need to get out on compassionate release because of her medical conditions and the continued deterioration of her health. And when I say circling the drain, she really is circling the drain. And without proper medical assistance, medical care, treatment, follow-up for possible cancer, blood pressure that she's having such huge problems with, all these things, I'd be afraid that she might not get out. And that this sentence that this judge gave her, though it was not a life sentence, even though it was longer than it was supposed to be based on the sentencing guidelines, it was not a life sentence, and you've in fact turned it into one if we allow these atrocities to continue to my wife and any other person that's struggling right now in the same environment, because she's not alone and she's not the only person that I'm sure is having these issues or problems. So thank you to those women that have been helping me. You've been, I'm forever grateful. I'll be forever in your debt. To those other people out there that have helped me out, I get to fly out, by the way, this week to see my wife. I was donated without asking, plane ticket, hotel, and a rental car so I could go see my wife on Saturday and Sunday next week, and then fly back Sunday night. I'm forever grateful to that person as well, who said he felt God led him to help me and was told he needed to help me. Also working on helping try to drum up some legal money to help with a lawyer. Not to step on our amazing women's toes that have been helping me and doing so much for me. At this point, I'll take every bit of help I can get. I'm reaching out for every lifeline I can and life buoy. I refuse to let my wife perish and pass away on the other side of the fence. I don't want to say wall because she's not technically behind walls. She's a camp status, which is pretty much the lowest you can be. But she's in a medical facility because of her health. And let me remind everybody that there are levels of care in our Federal Bureau of Prison System. And FMC Carswell is supposed to be a care level 3, which is the highest care level you could be for a medical facility. And it's the only one that's a women's care level 3 medical facility in our country. And this is the medical care that they provide, or don't provide. But they're the only ones that are able to take care of my wife. So is it that they really can't take care of my wife, but we're saying they can? Or we're negligent and we're just not taking care of people when we're supposed to be taking care of people? That is something that seriously needs to be addressed. So I, along with these amazing women and whoever else comes into the fold between now and the day that I get to fly out there, hug my wife, and pick her up and take her home to her family and friends and loved ones. There's not many people around anymore, honestly, but to those that are going to be waiting there to love her unconditionally, regardless of what happened, till that day comes, I'm going to continue to fight. I'm going to continue to share the word. I'm going to continue to spread her story. I encourage people to share their stories. Share my story if you want. If you watch the video, and share it with whatever group that you run or manage or whatever you want to do. Tweet it out, Facebook it out, whatever. At this point, I don't care anymore. I'm no longer going to hide in the shadows because my wife can't make it if I continue to hide in the shadows. If I continue to cower in the background, afraid to make waves, to put her face and my face out there in the general public so people learn, it'll never change. And I think that's one more problem that people are facing, is so many people are going through this, but they share their story with people who share their stories, but never to the general public. Maybe you're afraid, you're ashamed, you're embarrassed. Maybe your loved one's embarrassed and tells you, no, we don't want to share this. Look, again, as a member of the general public up to this point, my eyes were closed. I once was blind, but now I see. We, the loved ones who are suffering as well and doing a sentence with that person put away, our children who are serving time for their parent that's locked away. Those parents whose loved ones are locked away are doing time. Their cousins, nephews, nieces, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, they're all doing time. Friends are doing time for those locked away. It's not just affecting them. It's not only hurting them. It's hurting everyone that's ever loved them or cared about them, and that continues to love and care about them. Don't be quiet. Speak out. Let our voices be heard. Share it with your senators, your governors, your mayor. I don't give a damn if they don't have a say. Look, share it with any political figure you can. Maybe 98% of them don't give a damn about you, your spouse, your loved one, whatever. The prison system, they continue to turn a cheek to it. Maybe they feel like everybody in jail is a bad person. Okay, but that 2%, hell, if it's just one, that 1% might be enough to start making some noise. If you're not familiar with what happened this week with Director Carvajal, who's the Bureau of Prisons director, who's on his way out, Google his name and look at the senators, John Ossoff, and I forgot the other gentleman, I apologize, but he was a rock star, Senator Johnson, I believe, calling him on the carpet for how shitty they are and the accountability that they lack in regards to our prison systems and our loved ones. Go check them out. I'm sure the video is everywhere. If you're on Twitter and you look and you're on my page, it's there. Scroll down and find it, watch it. It was good, it was great. But we gotta keep pushing them. Get behind them in the corner. Give them the massage in between rounds. Tell them, go for the body, go for the body. Throw that hook. We gotta keep going, we gotta keep fighting, we gotta keep doing these things for our loved ones. Because if not, and we quit, what do they got? What do they got left to live for? Maybe that's why the high suicide rate in Atlanta, USP Atlanta Penitentiary, is so high. Maybe because they don't have people fighting for them and they feel like there's nothing left to live for. Don't let our loved ones feel that way. Don't let yourself feel that way. I've been there, and it's not going to do anybody any good. Continue to fight. And if you're a believer in Christ, pray. Pray to Christ. Pray to our Lord. Speak to Him. I recently been told to read the book of Psalms, the book of Proverbs, and the book of Job. And I've been reading them. If you're a holy person and you haven't read them, I suggest checking them out. They seem to help me every day. With that being said, I've taken too much of your Saturday, or whatever day you're watching this video. I appreciate you sitting with me for 20 minutes, 21 minutes, and listening to me discuss what's going on in my life. Those that continue to support me, I love you. I appreciate you. I respect you. I'm grateful for you. It's easy to turn your back. It's easy to walk away. It's not always easy to stand. Stick to your word. Stick to your vows. Stick to your guns. We live in a society full of quitters. Quitting's easy. Your job's hard, you quit. You don't like your boss, you quit. You don't like school, you quit. You don't like your marriage, you quit. You don't want to be a dad, you quit. You don't want to be a mom, you quit. We live in a society where quitting is okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. That should be the very last thing that you do. You've exhausted every other route. Only then, and it's still not okay, but only then is it maybe an option. God bless y'all. Take care. I love you, each and every one of you that watch. Please like, share, comment. I'm working on building my website, and again, I want to bring awareness to these issues in our country. Take care.